Welcome to SVG-TV News, Thursday, April 18th, 2024. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. With drought conditions affecting the water system at Montreal and Dalloway, the Central Water and Sewerage Authority, CWSA, is encouraging residents, especially those who are connected to the Montreal water system, to install or activate home water storage. Public Relations and Marketing Manager with the CWSA, Joan Ryan, tells SVG-TV News that they are not sure when the water rationing, which is currently in place, will be discontinued.
One of the important things right now is for persons to activate their home storage. Ensure that you have big enough containers in your home to store water, 5 gallons per person per day, that kind of thing. Even institutions, we are asking that whenever the water is in the tap, you fill up. So, because at any time, we can say, your area is going to be out of water.
It has been more than a week since the water rationing started in some 56 communities served by the water systems, with more areas added to the list. According to Ryan, home water storage will have to be normalized as the drought conditions seem to be a yearly problem.
But we have been trying to push from a CWSA standpoint the issue of having enough storage at your homes. I know how difficult it is. We are accustomed opening the tap and receiving our water. So I know how difficult it is for somebody to actually fill up their bucket, and they would say, oh, so how long are we expected to have it there for, and that kind of thing. But better safe than sorry. And especially now, in this kind of a critical period, we want persons to make that special effort to have adequate storage containers at home and fill up your containers in the event that something happens. And so specifically for consumers being fed from the Montreal system.
It was noted that the CWSA water systems are highly dependent on normal rainfall. However, the unpredictable weather patterns have posed a problem, drying up waterbeds and springs longer than usual.
If we do not have rain, we are going to have problems all over the country. That's the absolute fact of the matter. Ryan indicated earlier that the Montreal source in particular has several springs that it's fed from. However, if there is no rain, there's very little that we can do. Our water supply systems have the capacity in some areas for some communities to be fed from a different water source. For example, some persons who are fed from Montreal are now being fed from the Jennings water source because of the shortfall at Montreal. So there are some cases where we can do that, but not in all cases. And lucky for us though, it's not a situation where there is absolutely no water. There is some water. Once we start rationing and we allow the system to build back up overnight, then we are going to have water in the tap for persons.
CWSA says it is looking at ways in which it can address the water problems in the long term, especially during the drought season. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has signaled his intention to start a global campaign against the World Bank's group, the International Development Association, IDA. Speaking on NBC Radio's face-to-face program yesterday, the Prime Minister said that he has already written letters to be sent out to 193 leaders worldwide, indicating his firm position on the change to be made by IDA in 2025 on their intention to reduce concessions for small economies. The Prime Minister read out part of the letter he has thus far written.
It is its intention to reduce significantly the concessional terms of its loans to certain small island economies, SIEs.
Further, the Prime Minister said that while access to loans is still available, the reduction of concessions by IDA would make it difficult for SVG and other small states to access these loans.
This matter is going to, as I understand it, they want to test the waters with it. And we will have a firm position on it. It isn't that even when they are men, even if they succeed in doing what is their intention, it isn't that you wouldn't be able to get loans still, but the terms would be much less favorable. Much less favorable. Even though some of them, people may say, well, compared to the market, they're favorable.
The Prime Minister added that the interest rate is too high and the number of years to pay back needs to increase in order for countries like SVG to address climate change issues, which is what they would usually take the loans for.
You can't build adaptation and mitigation to climate change on the basis of money, which are 7-year money or 10-year money at 7% interest. You can't do it. You can't do it. You need 40-year money. You need 50-year money at interest rates ranging between, over that period, between 1 and maybe 3%. But the information which our constituency at the World Bank, because there's, we have persons who look after our interests.
Come Monday, April 22nd, 2024, farmers will be able to start the process of accessing loans from the Farmer Support Company. This was announced by Minister of Agriculture, Sabota Caesar, in a message to farmers yesterday. The microloans, which amongst to $1 million EC dollars, was budgeted for this year to assist farmers across SVG.
From this coming Monday, persons will be able to go to the Farmers Support Company to apply for microloans. And I wish to explain the context in which we are going to roll out this program through the Farmers Support Company. Currently, we are experiencing a significant demand for food in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And this is coming because of the increase in the room stock that we have in the country. We are all aware that with the coming on stream of Sandals Resort and the expansion of the hospitality industry, not leaving out the fact that we are exporting to the sub-region and internationally more commodities, it is creating a greater demand from our farmers.
Minister Caesar noted that the World Bank's project, also managed by the Farmer Support Company, is also being rolled out successfully.
I wish to begin by commending the technical staff of the Ministry of Agriculture for the excellent work that they continue to do in the rolling out of the $10 million World Bank project. Across the country, we are already seeing many persons as beneficiaries, persons who participate in the production of crops and also livestock. And in the upcoming months, we are going to see several persons come into the ministry, speak to the technicians, and they will be able to draw down on the applications which were made.
Meetings with farmers in various areas will be held, and they're encouraged to apply for the microloans, which will be done through an assessment.
There are many farmers who were affected by the volcanic eruptions. There are several farmers who are grappling with the vagaries of climate change. And particularly in vegetable production, there are many persons who are in need of assistance. The doors of the Farmer Support Company, the doors are open, and I want to thank the manager of that company, Charlene Garrick, for the work that she is doing with her staff. And you're going to see them in the different districts and also in the different regions, working closely with the stakeholders.
Minister Caesar said he plans to brief stakeholders in his ministry weekly, which includes farmers on matters concerning their livelihood. A forum which focuses on the challenges and responses to agricultural development in the Caribbean will be held here on April the 25th, and Friday, the 26th. The forum will be co-hosted by Honorable Sabota Caesar, Minister of Agriculture, and Secretary General of the International Cooperation Development Fund in Taiwan, Ambassador Charles Lee. On the opening day of the forum on Thursday, April 25th, 2024, high-ranking officers and professionals from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the United States, Taiwan, St. Lucia, St. Christopher and Nevis, Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, AICA, Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, and Caribbean Cooperation Measurement Reporting and Verification Hub, MRV Hub, will participate in 2 panel discussions in which they will be sharing knowledge, exchange experiences, and promoting agricultural development for the Caribbean region. The panel discussions, which will be held at the Beachcombers Hotel, will be on topics: agricultural transformation, integrating agricultural technology, and talent cultivation and strengthening the agricultural industry chain, and enhancing agricultural resilience and economic growth through local production and diversified crops. On Friday, April 26th, there will be field visits which will be guided by officers from the Taiwan Technical Mission in Orange Hill. The National Firearms Amnesty, which was launched on March 1, 2024, is said to be progressing successfully, with 8 illegal firearms and 209 rounds of ammunition retired from the community. This is according to an update provided today by the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, the SVG-TV, which said it is a significant step towards the goal of removing illicit firearms from the streets and diminishing the potential for violent crime. The National Firearms Amnesty is designed to foster a safer environment across our multi-island nation by reducing the number of illegal firearms in circulation. The SVG-TV is reminding the public that the amnesty is a no questions asked and no prosecution initiative. Individuals are encouraged to voluntarily surrender any illegal firearms and ammunition in their possession without fear of prosecution or questioning. The police say it is important to also note that this is not a buyback program and no compensation will be offered for the surrendered weapons. Firearms can be handed over to the nearest police station or to designated community leaders, including ministers of religion, justices of the peace, parliamentarians, lawyers, or authorized firearms dealers. The SVG-TV says it is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all residents and visitors to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and is urging anyone in possession of an illegal firearm to take this opportunity to contribute to a safer community by participating in the amnesty, which will come to an end on May 31st, 2024. On record for 2023, 241 cases of child abuse have been reported to the Child Development Unit in the Ministry of National Mobilization et al. Of this number, 43% are neglect and abandonment, 37% sexual abuse, 17% physical abuse, and 3% psychological abuse. These figures were provided by social worker Camille McIntosh on the VC3 Roundtable Talk program last evening.
Well, we have from all ages, and a child is any person who is under the age of 18. So you have reports coming from baby, from months old up to age 17 plus. And I wouldn't say it's from any particular group, because any child can be abused. It's just a matter of the child coming forward or somebody coming forward to say, hey, this child has been abused and we needed to do something about it.
And who can come forward to say that?
Okay, so according to the same Child Care and Adoption Act, any person who is a health worker, an educational worker, persons in law enforcement like Corporal Daniel, persons who work with children or have the care and responsibility for children, they are known as mandatory reporters. The Act actually says that they are mandatory reporters, which means they are mandated to report any disclosure of abuse by a child, or if they have a suspicion that or they have even witnessed the abuse of a child, they are mandated to report.
As it relates to children giving birth at the hospitals, McIntosh noted that there are social workers at the hospitals who will report these matters to the Child Development Division. However, the police will be the ones taking action where necessary.
So they would do their investigation there at the hospital, whether with the child, with the child's family. They will do their interviews, and they would report to the Child Development Division, and they will also report to the police.
Okay, and that's it. How far do these cases go?
Well, once it is reported, then we have our investigation, because we usually would have a joint investigation with the police. So our investigation, as in the Child Development Division, would be in the best interest of the child. We need to find out what happened. Is there a safe place that you can go, and that we have to place that child? And the police, of course, will work along with the perpetrator. That's their job. That's what they do for their part.
Okay, so it goes to the police from you, and then the police are the ones who follow up and take whatever necessary action is deemed
what is deemed necessary for the perpetrator, because they deal with the charges and stuff like that.
Corporal Keldon Daniel, who is attached to the Sexual Offences Unit of the RSVG Police Force, said reports of child abuse often come from the Child Development Unit and directly from victims, as he explained how reports are handled.
Sometimes children will even report these matters without the knowledge of their parents, especially if the accused person is probably in a relationship with a parent, or living in the same house, or a close family member. So once we receive that report, we will immediately inform the division. Then they will interact with that child immediately. They will have that forced conversation with the child. Then, based on that report, like in case of a sexual report, based on the psychological state of that child, we will proceed to either do a medical exam. Now, in cases where that child is not psychologically ready to speak, we'll make arrangement for that child to have counseling. After counseling, once the child is ready, we proceed with the investigation in regards to medical examination. After the medical examination, once the child is still ready, we will proceed to record statements. Once we record that statement, we continue that investigation by taking other statements from witnesses. Wherever that investigation takes us, we go. Take us to another part of the country, another island, we do that. If it involves persons overseas, we reach as far in terms of contacting that person and having statements, and so record it. After statements, we have to do what we call visiting the scene of the alleged report. That is where we go with our CRO personnel, crime scene personnel, and we take measurements, photos, and whatever, processing of the exhibits, if any.
This month is being observed as Child Abuse Prevention Month under the theme, "You have the power to create a better future for us, the children. Treat us well." Coming from a community that has been labeled dangerous due to crime and gun violence, has its advantages but more so disadvantages. That is the case for Tawana Clark of Edinburgh, who is a student of Marion House under the Canadian-funded LEAF program. Tawana told SVG-TV News that it has not been easy for her, as she constantly has to explain herself when she tells people she is from the Edinburgh community.
Edinburgh has been branded negatively because of the amount of crime and stuff that happens over there. But it's kind of, I like to differentiate it, right? There's Edinburgh and there's Otley Hall. Otley Hall is based, in my opinion, based mainly where most of the crime and violence takes place. And because Edinburgh is so close to it, it is negatively impacted as well. For me, I just think because of, the negative stigma that's placed on people from Edinburgh and Otley Hall, that we aren't given as much opportunities, and there are people that even meet me and say that they're afraid to come Edinburgh because they're scared for their life. I then have to explain to people that Edinburgh and Otley Hall are two different communities. They may be close, but they're two different communities.
Tawana, who is currently employed, said that while many say there are job opportunities, which there are, it is difficult for her to get into the job market, even with CXC subjects, as she feels the skill set is lacking.
For me, it's just mainly being unemployed. I've been home for about a year because I was working and I stopped working about a year, and it's hard for me as a young lady or any person in general to get jobs in St. Vincent because there are not as much jobs afforded to young people. And then there's somewhere you don't have the necessary skills or requirements, so it puts a challenge on people like myself who don't necessarily have, who might have subjects but don't have the skill.
Despite all the setbacks and delays, including the loss of her mother, she is pushing ahead to ensure her dream of becoming a hotel manager someday becomes a reality.
So I have known what I wanted to do with my life since I was 11 years old, and that is working in the hospitality, mainly hotel management. So I'm using this as a stepping stone so that I can be able to gain enough knowledge in whatever sector is available here, so I can use it so that it can further me along in my dream of becoming a hotel manager. My opinion would be just to, try to formulate your life, try to figure out what's best for you and what is something that you're interested in, and maybe make a career from it. That would just be my advice to young people or young girls.